Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And we are joined now here with Irwin Stromeyer. He is the owner of Sterile Space Infection Defense LLC, based out of beautiful West Orange, New Jersey. And we're here to talk today, of course, how his services can help so many of us. Welcome to the show today, Irwin. How are you?
I'm doing well, Jill, and yourself?
I'm doing great. Please introduce yourself and, of course, tell us what Sterile Space Infection Defense actually is.
Well, my name is Irwin Stromeyer. I'm the owner of Sterile Space Infection Defense here in West Orange, New Jersey. And we are an infection prevention, control, and eradication company, not to be confused with a cleaning service. They don't do what we do, and we don't do what they do. We actually go after the germs and try to create a situation within a company's space where the environment within that space has the ability to stay biologically cleaner than most.
Yep. Perfect.
So with everything that's going on, especially today with this pandemic and prior to the pandemic, it's really important to be able to keep the environment you work in and the environment you live in as biologically clean as possible. And we have a special method that we use, and that method is also known as the Healthy Child Zone for child care centers, the Healthy Elder Zone for elder centers, the Healthy Dining Zone, the Healthy Sports Zone, the Healthy Fitness Zone, the Healthy Rehab Zone, and the Healthy Home Zone.
Yep.
So basically, we are a company that I don't think has any competition at the moment, except for companies that think they do what we do. And we've been very successful since 2013 in helping numerous types of businesses and public places remain biologically cleaner and make it easier to keep them clean in general as well. Therefore, everybody stays healthier.
Perfect. So sterilespace.com, clearly want to point out that is the website. And you can watch a great video on there like I did to see how this sterilizing process actually happens. It's pretty amazing. So we are infection prevention, as you say, and we urge everyone to go to sterilespace.com. You can watch the video there. And it's good to know you've been in business for quite so long, because people might get confused and say, oh, with COVID around, maybe they're a new company. No, you have been doing this for many, many years, and you really have a specialty niche.
Yes, we've been doing this since 2013. And a lot of companies and a lot of people who lost their jobs and created businesses to try and capitalize on the pandemic and the fear thereof. A lot of those companies I refer to as pandemic profiteers.
Yep.
We are not a pandemic profiteer. We are the real deal. And for a long time, it took a lot of work to educate people as to why a service like ours is so necessary, because people are normally cleaning and disinfecting and cleaning and disinfecting. And the thing that most people don't realize is that in between the cleaning and disinfecting here and the cleaning and disinfecting this far down the timeline, this area in between allows for lots of germs to be deposited on surfaces. But a lot worse than that is a lot of those germs are bacterial based and or viral based. But in example, bacteria cells multiply in quantity about every 20 minutes. And when I say multiply, they double in quantity every 20 minutes. So 1 becomes 2, 2 become 4, 8, 16, 32, yada, 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 yada. And what most people don't realize is that in an 8-hour period, under relatively good environmental conditions, meaning a friendly surface, warmth, moisture, a food source for those biologics, one cell can become over 10 million. Wow. And even 10 million cells can't be seen by the naked eye, unless, of course, you've got a microscope.
Yeah.
Not many of us walk around with a microscope these days to check everything before we touch our hand on it. And so we started out in childcare centers because according to something I read on the internet, they are supposed to be the open sores of the 21st century. And once I got into childcare centers, I believe that comment was true.
Wow.
If you've seen what I've seen.
Tell us what you've seen.
Well, we have seen all kinds of, shall we say, little presents deposited by children under table edges and on toys and under the chairs. And we had this one job that we did where the school owner had purchased a bunch of chairs from another school that had closed down. And when we came to do their service, they said, oh, by the way, can you do these chairs too? We bought them a while back. We've just never had a chance to put them into service. And since you're here doing everything else, maybe you can do these too. Well, my foreman came running in while I was talking to the owner and said, Mr. Stromeyer, you got to see this. We went outside. They had taken about 20 or 30 of the chairs out. And on the undersides of most of them was all of this three-dimensional ick. And so I took a swab of it with a lab swab, and I sent it to the lab afterwards. And it came back with 37 unique forms of bacteria or species of bacteria, of which 6 of those species were 6 unique strains of E. coli. Not to mention, they also found blood and feces on the undersides of the chairs.
Whoa.
So
now, was that repairable, fixable?
Well, I offered the owner, I said, look, it's like a 92-degree August day out there. If you want my team to have to suit up in hazmat suits in 90-degree weather with like 40 or 70% humidity, I'm going to have to stand out there with a garden hose just to keep them cool. What I'll do for you is I'll buy you all brand new chairs if you let me douse these in gasoline and incinerate them, because they are absolutely a biohazard.
Wow.
And he was like, oh, but I spent the money. I said, I'll replace them free of charge.
Oh my
And
goodness.
she still wanted us to do it. So, yeah, I was kind of grossed out by that. And, you know, from working with lots of childcare centers, you see a lot of different things. But the one of the funniest things that ever happened in a childcare center was I would walk in and I would have my little swabbing meter to test and show them what's going on their surfaces. And some little boy would always walk up to me because they'd see this logo on my shirt, which, if you can see, it doesn't really look like a police badge, but some little boy would inevitably always walk up and go, are you a policeman? And I'd be like, no, buddy, I'm not a policeman. I'm just here to see if you have germs here. Oh, so you're the germ policeman. Which, after hearing it for 5 years, I finally decided to grab the name and called it the Germ Police, filed it as an alternate corporate name, and that's why we are known as the Germ Police.
I love it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this gets me past a lot of gatekeepers and receptionists real quick.
See?
Not that I impersonate a police officer, I don't, but I use it as a business card case. In any event, so we have gone from working with childcare centers to working with some doctors' offices, some restaurants, a hotel or two, even worked with a car dealership for a short period of time way back in the beginning to kind of give their certified pre-owned and used cars a going over, so it would be a little bit of an extra selling point for the dealership. But today, the big focus is on public health security. And if you think about everything you touch from the time you leave the house to the time you sit down and put that headset on in the studio, okay, the Dunkin' Donuts you stopped at for coffee, or the deli that you stopped at for coffee, or you know, anywhere you went in, you went to go get a newspaper somewhere or whatever, you walk into the building that the studio's in, the front door handle, the elevator button, the railing on the stairs, the doorknob on the ladies' room, what have you, okay, there are loads and loads and loads of germs, microbes, on all of those surfaces. And every time you touch one, you leave some of your microbes behind, especially some of the ones you collected on the way to touching that. And on the way from all of those, you got to keep some that were there, probably some that you really don't want, which is why, especially during the pandemic, they were talking about wash your hands a lot, okay? And although a lot of people would use hand sanitizer, which is to a degree effective. But the thing is, hand sanitizer also has a lot of alcohol in it and can dry out your skin, and might even ruin nail polish. I don't know, but I haven't worn any in a while.
Good.
But you know, so it's important not only to practice good personal hygiene as far as keeping your hands clean and that, it's also a good idea to try not to touch your face too often, because every time you touch other things and get live germs on your hands, and you rub your eyes or your nose or your mouth, these are the 3 primary entry points for infectious organisms into the body, unless we're talking about like a surgical infection or something like that, okay? Or an airborne infection, like what COVID mostly is,
Okay.
is airborne. Okay. However, People can also catch COVID by somebody who coughs or sneezes on a surface and expels the germs onto the surface, touch their eyes, boom, they're infected. So although we can do quite a bit about a phenomenon called cross-contamination infection, where you touch one thing and the germs you get on your hand, you transfer to another thing or surface, and then somebody else touches it, it's been cross-contaminated, okay? We can't do anything about airborne infections, really. Not that, I mean, there are certain things you can do, but it requires a real investment, and some people just don't have that kind of money to invest, although I think that schools should absolutely be doing it. As far as air filtration systems.
That like the HEPA infiltration system thing that they wanted us to start using.
HEPA filters are very helpful, not to make a pun of any kind.
Okay.
But the thing that's most effective in really disinfecting air are ultraviolet wavelength C light emitters. And if you put them in the ductwork on the inbound side of an HVAC system, they can kill a lot of the microbes that are floating through the air, because UVC, or what people coin as blacklight, if you remember blacklight posters from your earlier days and my earlier days,
Yep.
that frequency of light actually damages or shatters DNA chains. So if you break the DNA of a living organism, you basically incapacitate and kill the living what was the living organism. Okay, so a lot of companies put those in their air handler systems, but you got to keep them clean, because if they get covered with dust, they're not too effective.
And you do that residential too? I mean, I know it's expensive, but is that something that can be done at home?
For residences and for commercial spaces. I mean, we've done, houses where we have a few different programs for the Healthy Home Zone. Usually what we say to people is, if you've heard of us and you're going to have a child, or you just had a child or whatever, and you want to really bring the baby home to a very clean and healthy home, let us come in before you come home from the hospital, because, if you have, especially if you have other children, or if you've had family visiting lately, even though they've had their COVID shots and all that good stuff, you want to have your surfaces protected.
So are you coming in to touch every surface, to clean every surface, to sterilize every surface in the house? That's a lot of work.
Well, that is, and
floors, stuff that's on the counter, pens.
Well, here's where it starts. With the home, the basic program for a house is very simple. It's the kitchen, bathrooms, and children's bedrooms and playrooms. Okay. From there, we can go to doing the whole house, but that's a much bigger piece of work, as you just mentioned.
Yeah.
But what we do, we don't quote unquote clean, even though most people would call it cleaning.
I know.
We do a very in-depth decontamination.
Okay.
So we use very good disinfectant-based detergent cleaners or chemicals to clean all the surfaces, all the door and cabinet handles, all the doorknobs, the light switches, the chairs, top, bottom, and all around the tables and underneath, all the counters, all the appliances, the refrigerator door handles, all that kind of stuff, the microwave keypad, and all those things in the bathroom, all the surfaces in the bathroom, and the faucets and the flush valves and the light switches and the door handles. So that's all decontaminated. Then it's terminally disinfected with a hydrogen peroxide vapor disinfectant, which the really good thing about using that is it kills pretty much anything, okay? And as it breaks down or evaporates, okay, it breaks down into oxygen and water, so there's no harmful residue left behind. After that's all done, we then apply the antimicrobial coating with an electrostatic sprayer so that it's drawn to all the surfaces by an electromagnetic field, okay? And then that material bonds to those surfaces with a covalent bond, which is a form of a molecular bond. A molecular bond, an example is what holds the headset together on your head.
Okay.
Because the molecules of the plastic and the metal and everything, they all have to hold themselves together. So for that reason, you cannot wash the antimicrobial coating off. It only comes off after long-term friction abrasion. So the other way you could get it off, if you wanted to take it off of a surface, you'd have to use something like soft scrub and one of those green scouring scrubby pads. Okay. And then of course you take the image off of the Formica on your kitchen counter if it was Formica.
So if you're in the bathroom, this whole microbe thing that is now bonded with the magnetic field, say it's on my toilet, it's on my sink, it's on my floor, and that's
Mhm.
going to last for how long?
We warranty it to last for 12 months.
Wow. Yeah.
A single service is warranted for and the proof comes from our clients. I've been doing this since the middle of 2013. I have clients that have written me letters and done video testimonials that say, we use Irwin once a year, and damn if we haven't seen a 50 to 70% reduction in illness and infections in our facilities. And it's the real proof of that is in the child care centers, because I mean, I don't know if you have young children or not.
I have 4 and 6. Yes, they
Okay.
were in daycare years ago, and they were
And they
sick all
come
the
home sick quite often, I'll bet.
time.
Okay. Well, if they had attended a Healthy Child Zone program protected school, they probably wouldn't have come home nearly or sick nearly as often. And I mean, I even have clients that for the past year, even though they were closed off for a while and then they were only allowed to open at like 50% capacity, they have said, you know what, during the COVID breakout, we haven't had a single sick kid. Now, I'm not saying that the coating took care of COVID. I'm just saying that the reduced survival rate
Yep.
of the microbes that were there was obviously low enough that it didn't have any significant impact on the health of the children.
Got it.
Now, I did get phone calls from clients saying, oh, I have a teacher from room 3 who called this morning and said she tested positive for COVID. So we need, all those kids are being sent home for 2 weeks, and we need you to come in and go over her room. So what we offer as part of our Healthy Child Zone program is we have another service called an urgent response disinfection service call, where if you have a room, let's say you had a few kids came down with the flu or whatever, we would come in, we would go over all those surfaces to wipe them down and get them as clean as possible with our detergent-based disinfectant. And then we would use our electrostatic spray systems to drown everything in that room with a terminal disinfectant, so that by the next morning, that room would be fine to go into, but because of state regulations, they have to keep it closed for a certain number of days. But yeah, so we offer quite a variety of services. We also do what we loosely call carpet disinfection, where we first go over carpeting or area rugs with a commercial carpet cleaning machine, but we don't sell it as carpet cleaning because we don't do pre-spotting. We're not a cleaning service. So first we get as much of the physical debris and biological debris that we can out by carpet cleaning. Then we have this thing that looks like a lawnmower, but instead of spinning blades, it's got UVC light emitters on the bottom. So we go over the carpet in 2 directions to saturate it with as much UVC light and shatter as many microbe DNA chains as we can get the light down deep into the carpet with. And then we come back with the electrostatic sprayer and superdose the carpeting with the antimicrobial. Now, we don't warranty carpet work at all because people are constantly walking on it and wearing it down.
Talked about that. Yeah, I don't let people wear their shoes in my home. Some people do, but you must know the types of things that are on the bottom of your shoes.
Everything you step on out there is on your carpet at home. And how's this one that'll really make your ears want to close up and not hear anything else? The average square inch of home carpet or home area rug has 200,000 live bacteria in it.
I wish you would have done a sample at my house.
When a little kid's crawling through the carpet like this, and those fingers are going all the way down deep to get a good grab and pull themselves forward, and then they go like this.
Yes.
That's all I can say.
Now you're in New Jersey. Do you work in New York? Do the tri-state area?
Well, yes and no. We don't work in 5 boroughs simply because liability insurance is insanely ridiculous. But we will work in, like we've done jobs in New York State, such as Westchester County, which I don't believe is part of the 5 boroughs.
Nope. I'm on Long Island, so could you come to Long Island?
Yeah, got to Long Island. We've gone up to Connecticut, out as far west as Hershey, PA.
Yep.
As far south as Maryland, from our base here in West Orange. Prior to the pandemic, and prior to some health issues I had at the end of 2019, I have clients in Dallas and Fort Worth, Texas. I have had clients in California. I've had clients in what is it? Tennessee and Florida as well. And actually, we're getting ready to open a new office in Florida sometime in the next 3 or 4 months, which I'm very excited about. But the reason I wasn't traveling starting with the pandemic was I had recently, just prior to the pandemic, had open heart surgery. And I had received a phone call when I was at a checkup appointment with my cardiologist from one of our good clients. If you've ever heard of the Little Gym, it's a children's gym type place.
Okay.
And it's franchised all around the country, if not all over the world already. And we would go in and do all their mats and all their gym equipment and everything. But the thing was, I got a phone call from an owner of one at the beginning of the pandemic in Seattle, Washington, which was the first hotspot for COVID in this country.
Wow.
And I was on the phone with this person, and you could hear from the earpiece. And she said, "Yeah, I'm just literally in the southern suburbs of Seattle, and I've got 5 little gyms. I'd love to have you come out here and do them." And my doctor gave me a look and whispered to me, "If you get on a plane and you go to the COVID hotspot of this country, find another doctor."
Oh, yeah.
He said, "If you get on even if you just get on a plane to go anywhere, you're stupid. And if you get on a plane to go to Seattle, you get whatever it is you deserve. So if you want to go do that and risk your life, that's up to you, but I wouldn't recommend it." So he actually said I should not travel like that for at least 2 years.
Wow.
He goes, "You want to drive somewhere, that's one thing. You're in your own space with your own germs and, but I mean, like my entire crew, I have a crew of 19. And every one of them are required to be vaccinated, and most of them work in the healthcare industry, so they are, which is really nice. But unlike, let's say, a janitorial service where they'll sometimes they hire just whoever they can get, and it's unfortunate because it's nice to have skilled labor. All of my staff are required to do as I have done and become certified in infection control, certified as infection control technicians. And I recently received my certification as an infection prevention expert for the public sector, not for the medical sector.
Perfect.
So if any nurses or doctors are listening to this, no, I am not claiming any type of medical degree.
No.
But I love what I do. It's a great business. It's a great job. It was interesting because for the first probably, up until I'd say October of 19, which was just pre-pandemic, I would spend probably 7 months a year going around and doing proposals and spending maybe 5 months a year actually doing jobs. Well, somebody said the word pandemic in the first weekend of March, and we worked from the first weekend in March through the middle of September every single day.
Wow.
And we would start at 9 and sometimes wouldn't be done till 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning and be on the next job at 9 a.m.
Wow. Well,
Yes. And I'll tell you, my crew, I would put them up against any cleaning company because I've been trained in proper decontamination procedures and proper cleaning procedures, and I make them take the same courses, and I make sure, because I'm on every job, I make sure if somebody's not doing something the right way, they're instantly corrected. Because this is the kind of job, if you're not going to do it right, don't bother wasting your time.
absolutely.
It's critical. And the thing that one of the things that has amazed me is that most people, they'll say, "Oh, we clean, 10 times a day and we're always disinfecting." And I'm like, okay, so do you know the right way to use disinfectant?
And that has to remain on the surface for how long about in order
Well,
to do the job?
if you look at any, I'll use this as glass as an example, on the back of any container of disinfectant, whether it's like a Lysol or a Clorox or whatever, usually in the second or third paragraph, there's a sentence that says, "Surface must remain visibly wet for X number of minutes." So depending on the product, it might be 2 minutes, it might be 5 minutes, it might be 10 minutes. But a lot of people, when
Spray.
they spray, they're like, and that's it. Because disinfectants stink like hell.
Mhm.
And B, they think if they just missed it, it's good enough.
Yeah.
Visibly wet means it looks like you held down the spray button for 10 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and created a puddle, or like you knocked over a glass of water.
Got it.
Now, a lot of times I'll ask people, if I offered to buy you the best disinfectant in the world, I don't care what it costs, I'll pay for it, lock, stock, and barrel. I want you to go on the internet and I want you to look up the best one you can find. And I want you to apply it on the surfaces in your space. How long do you think it would keep killing germs for? An hour, a day, a week, or a month? Now, I've had people say, oh, well, I know the one we have is really good. It's got to easily be a few weeks. No. A few days?
Mm-hmm.
No. An hour? No. As soon as it evaporates, it's gone. There is no more killing going on.
Wow.
There's no residual kill effect to it. Once you've either wiped it off or let it evaporate, there's nothing left there. And depending on what that disinfectant is, as the liquid in it evaporates out, and a lot of it is alcohol, some of it may be water, depending, whatever was in it has dried on the surface but not bonded to the surface, and therefore it will come off on your fingertips or on your clothes if you brush your hand or your sleeve on something. Okay, and so even though it's not killing anything, the residue that's left, if a child runs their fingers through it and rubs it in their eyes, can irritate their eyes. But what's even worse is a lot of child care centers use bleach and water mixture, which is one of the types of disinfectants, at least the state of New Jersey authorizes for use. And the thing is, okay, if they spray it on a table and they count to 10 and then they wipe it off because they're afraid the kids are going to put their hands in it and touch their face, which is the smart thing to do, okay, they're still really limiting how much germs can get done.
Got it.
So our process with the antimicrobial coating is the stopgap measure, as I said, in between cleaning and disinfecting.
Got it. And we're out of time, but one quick question. So if I have this antimicrobial material, let's say it's on my toilet and my floors, and I know you said you guarantee it for up to 12 months. Am I still able to use my own disinfectant over the next 12 months and clean? Yeah. I'm not scrubbing it off.
No, not unless you're using something like soft scrub
with a
scouring pad.
That's awesome.
On that surface.
Okay. Irwin, tell us how we can get in touch with you one more time.
You can reach me at Irwin, IRWIN, at Sterile Space, that's STERILESPACE.com, or you can call me at 973-714-8288, basically 24/7. But if it's not like a real emergency, please wait till at least 6 a.m.
Got it. All right, Irwin, sterilespace.com, our Germ Police. Pleasure to speak with you, to see you here today, and thank you for your time. And I hope you have a fantastic day and a great Memorial Day weekend.
You too, my dear, and I look forward to speaking with you again in the future.
Ditto. Thank you so much. Stay tuned, everyone. More of the show is on the way. Please don't go anywhere.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.